Broken guns in COD. Every new Call of Duty game has at least one gun that breaks the meta, gets spammed online, but just how broken can these guns get? Welcome to the channel, everybody. Chaos here. Welcome back to the COD History series. Now, we've done this. I know, we've done this multiple times, but it's been a little while, and it's time to update. We have 2 or 3 new Call of Duty titles under our belt, so today we are going to go over the 15 most absolutely broken weapons ever released. Keep in mind, most of these guns have been patched, but there was a time in history where they were absolutely dominant. So let me know in the comments if you ever got a chance to use these in their prime when they were at their best. Drop a like, make sure you guys are subscribed, and let's kick it off with the VMP in Black Ops 4. Now, it debuted in Black Ops 3. It was a fan favorite weapon. Some called it overpowered. I don't know if I'd go that far. The BO4 version, though, it was completely busted. Everybody who used it, well, you already know. It looked and sounded pretty much identical to its BO3 counterpart, but with way better damage stats. And when compared to other SMGs and BO4, it was just better. It was better. It was better at close range, better at mid-range, better at long range, versatility. I mean, it had the handling speeds of an SMG, right? It was a sweaty gun of choice in Black Ops 4, and the fact that it was a DLC weapon just added salt to the already salty wound. Guys, before we move on, right-click the link at the top of the description and go hit the sub button in the next 7 seconds, and then come right back for number 14, and we will continue. That is my Chaos Comics YouTube channel, and have started the journey to opening a Chaos Comics store in real life. And yeah, when we do the grand opening, you guys can come over. We'll talk comics. We'll talk Call of Duty. We'll talk everything. Right-click the link. I'll see you back in just a second. Now, at number 14, the XMC in Black Ops 3. Now, speaking of DLC weapons in Black Ops games, the XMC was added to supply drops a while after launch. It was a futuristic remake of the classic MSMC from Black Ops 2. Now, the MSMC was one of the competitive weapons of choice. I mean, for multiple reasons. Handling, damage, generous range drop-off. It just felt really good. It was really versatile. I mean, the XMC, it looked and felt pretty much the same as its predecessor, but for some reason, Treyarch decided to buff the damage to an insane degree. It gave it a ridiculous 3-shot kill range that made it hands down one of the best guns in the game. Now, after a while, Treyarch was forced to patch the XMC and bring it back down to earth. So if you managed to pull it from a supply drop, well, if you managed to pull it from a supply drop today, it's not going to be quite as busted as it once was. But if you got lucky enough to get it early on, it was insane. Look up early gameplay of this gun's lifespan. You'll quickly see why it was bad. It is, I mean, it's awfully convenient that the DLC weapons always launch completely overpowered and only get patched after everybody's already got their hands on them. Anyway, the Akimbo 357 Snake Shot in Modern Warfare 2019 and Warzone. Now, overkill was the meta for the longest time in both Modern Warfare and Warzone, but once the combo was discovered, everything changed. The 357 revolver was kind of a piece of crap on its own, but when you equipped it with the Snake Shot rounds, well, things got nasty. Then Infinity Ward decided to add the option to dual-wield the pistols to both Modern Warfare and Warzone, but since the feature wasn't there at launch, it probably wasn't tested properly, and guess what? We had busted combinations. The Akimbo Snake Shots were completely overpowered, capable of insta-killing people from any distance, it seemed like, and since they were a secondary, well, you could throw them on every single class without needing overkill. This meant everybody was running Ghost at all times, rendering UAVs completely useless. It was. Now, thankfully, the Snake Shots were finally patched, and they're pretty well balanced now, but back when they were first added to the game, if you remember, let me know in the comments. The 2-shot STG-44 in Vanguard. Now, the STG spam in Vanguard was dumb, partially because of how easy it was to level up, but also partially because it was statistically the best gun in the game on day one. Not only was it a very traditional feeling COD rifle, but it also had some insane attachment combinations that were just way too nasty. The STG was strong enough on its own. But once people figured out how to kit it out, lab it out, make it a 2-shot kill, all bets were off. The 2-shot STG was everywhere for the first few weeks of Vanguard, and while there were a few other 2-shot capable weapons, the STG was definitely the most spammed. I mean, versatile, easy to control, 2-shot kill. Did I mention that already? Eventually, Sledge got wise to it, patched it up, but in the early days of Vanguard, it was really tough sledding and rough sledding if you were going up against this thing, especially all the sweaty TTV players that were running around with a 2-shot full auto rifle. It was hard to have fun. The MP40 in World at War. Let's go back. Come on, how many times have we mentioned this gun in a COD history video? It's got to be 20 or 30. One of the most infamous weapons in COD history. You already know the spiel. The most absurd base stats of any weapon I've ever used in a multiplayer shooter. An SMG that hits for 59 base damage, kills in an absolute maximum of 4 bullets. It makes it one of the most statistically versatile guns in COD. Like the entire franchise. You could 2-tap people without stopping power, meaning you could use double tap as your red perk, then you could speed up the time to kill even more if you wanted to. It was nutty. And if we ever do get a World at War remastered, fingers crossed, I don't know if I want them to nerf it at all. I think I just want them to keep it how it was. Speaking of not nerfing, the Striker in Modern Warfare 3. It debuted in Modern Warfare 2. A lot of people don't even remember that. It was rather average, it's just shoddy, but Sledgehammer and Infinity Ward decided to, they raised the bar a little bit. I mean, shotguns were primary weapons in MW3, so naturally they should be a bit more powerful than their secondary Modern Warfare 2 counterparts, right? Well, they went way too far with the Striker. Despite being a semi-auto shoddy with insane ammo capacity, it was still a consistent one-shot kill, made it one of the easiest guns in COD history to dominate lobbies with. You could run around the map, you could spray the right trigger, drop enemy after enemy after enemy. You don't have to reload because there's so many freaking shells in it, and you don't have to aim down sights if you don't want to. Eventually it was patched, and the number of pellets per shot was decreased. But if you were playing Modern Warfare 3 in the heydays, you already know. Speaking of already knowing, the BAL-27 Obsidian Steed in Advanced Warfare, there's a reason that they renamed this game BAL of Duty. Yeah. I mean, infamous is all we have to say, right? Starting assault rifle is all we have to say, right? Ha. I mean, come on. We're not even going to get started on the variants. Consistent 3 to 4 shot kill, very low recoil, handling was through the roof. If you were using an Obsidian Steed variant, you were virtually always killing with 3 bullets, which made it too good. The fact that you could only get this weapon through supply drops made it even more controversial. Now, the variants I'm talking about. Come on. I mean, pay to win? I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. The Psychoff in Modern Warfare 2019. People thought it was a little weird for this gun to be added as late as it was. It's a handgun, added to the mix about a year and a half after the game came out, which is odd, but once the attachments were discovered, everybody started grinding. Not only did the Psychoff have a full auto mod, but it also had an 80-round mag, and it could be run in akimbo form. Could you imagine if we had an 80-round mag for like the B23R, the Cat 40 back in Black Ops 2? The akimbo full auto drum mag Psychoff was all you saw in shipment for the longest time, and it was getting pretty frequent use in Warzone as well, although it wasn't nearly as busted in there as it was in standard multiplayer. I mean, I know. Infinity Ward and Raven eventually brought the nerf hammer down, but come on. You can go look up clips of this thing, and the internet never forgets. Speaking of never forgetting, the 205 Brecci in Black Ops 3. Maybe a hot take, and maybe a hot take to put it at number 7, but I think there's more annoying out there now. Being said, still super broken, still deserves to be on the list, still never, ever got nerfed. It never got nerfed. It was virtually unbeatable in Black Ops 3, and if somebody in the lobby was using it, you immediately had to break out your own, or you just backed out. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. It just pisses me off. The SPR-208 in Warzone. Fan favorite in Warzone, but when it was first added to the game, it was easily one of the best weapons for any scenario. Marksman rifle, bolt action would kill with a single shot to the head, but that came at the cost of relatively low body damage, but if you aimed high, you could drop anybody with a single bullet. But when the SPR was added to the game, people quickly figured out there's a couple of attachments that turn it into a hit scan weapon. That's right. You could just point and click and your enemies would have a bad day. Yeah, a hit scan weapon. Yep. You can imagine how much this destroyed the balance of the game. Eventually the attachments were patched, but the hit scan SPR was a huge problem to start out with. Now we're in the top 5. The Akimbo Model 1887s in Modern Warfare 2. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. This would have been number one over and over. Not today. Who remembers sniper shotties? Lever action shoddy, pretty powerful on its own. I bet a lot of you never actually experienced this in Modern Warfare 2. It was ridiculous. It was a sight to behold. You could literally snipe with this shotgun. When MW2 first came out, people were constantly running around with dual shotties, blowing everybody off their feet without ever needing to be precise or careful with any shot. It was just too much. And while a lot of problems with Modern Warfare 2 never got patched, they actually patched this one. It was nerfed pretty hard, but the legacy, it remains. As long as we're doing COD videos, we will keep the legacy going for the Akimbo Model 1887s. The AS Val in Modern Warfare 2019. Still one of the most used guns in the multiplayer, but it gets it on this list for how it launched. When this assault rifle was first added, there was a huge bug with one of the magazine attachments. The 10-round mag would make the gun semi-automatic, but it would greatly increase the damage as a trade-off. Now, unfortunately, There was also a bug that made it completely ignore walls and cover, meaning you could wallbang people from across the map with no damage penalty. Once people figured it out, they were just chucking snapshot grenades across the map, sitting in corners, spraying people through 10 walls for free kills. Weirdly enough, Infinity Ward took their time patching this one, but for a couple weeks, it was all you saw online, especially in one-life modes like Search and Destroy. At number 3 today, the DMR-14 in Warzone. Let's keep on the bandwagon of ridiculous semi-auto weapons. Perhaps the worst part about the big Black Ops Cold War update in Warzone was this gun. If you were playing the Battle Royale back in late 2020 when the first update went live, you were treated to countless bugs. I mean, with the attachments, the progressions, but you also find yourself dealing with weapons that were obviously not tested very thoroughly, and since Treyarch and Raven were on vacation for the holidays, well, December to January of 2020 was a crap show for Warzone. I mean, the DMR-14 was easily the best gun in the game, 2 to 3 shot kill range, no recoil, amazing ballistics, and if you were using literally anything but this, you were at a disadvantage. It amazes me. It does. The meta was one of the most insane things in Warzone, and there was nobody there to fix it. At number 2, the FR556 underbarrel shotgun in Warzone. Now, underbarrel shotties were introduced all the way back in MW2. They've been up and down throughout the years. Sometimes they're amazing, sometimes they really suck, and sometimes they completely break the game. Now, in the case of the underbarrel shotty on the FR, it was one of the most game-breaking things you could ever ask for in a game like Warzone. It had ridiculous range. It could one-shot kill people from distances, which is a big deal in a game like Warzone where the time to kill is relatively long. And nobody knows why this happened to the shotgun. It's unclear why this was the only underbarrel to completely bust off, but it did. It got patched pretty quickly, but there was a few weeks where everybody was one-shotting everybody else with this thing. It was pretty dumb. And at number 1 today, no doubt in my mind, the Proteus in Infinite Warfare, easily the most broken gun in COD history. You know, we forgot the MSBS from Ghost too. Dang it. Anyway, the Proteus was the infamous sniper shotgun hybrid that had a built-in aimbot when it was added. When you used it in shotgun mode, there was a bug. When you were shooting while facing somebody, it guaranteed you would make contact with them, meaning you could go into hardcore mode, run around, fire from the hip, get cross-map kills without even attempting to aim. It was one of the most puzzling guns in COD history because it was so obviously broken, but it still came out of the door. And Infinity Ward did remove it from the game mere hours after it was added, but the community got tons of footage, and its legacy, it will live forever. If you ask me, this is the most broken gun in COD history, hands down. It may not have been as meta-defining as the Warzone DMR, as insane as the Akimbo models, but for the fact it was a literal aimbot sniper added to the game, I mean, as if there was nothing wrong, number 1. There you have it, my friends. Let me know a broken weapon that didn't make the list, and I'll see you soon.